Growing up, I was always interested in the mental game. After years of study, I developed the BasketballBrain program. My life is devoted to helping others achieve their greatness. I hope you'll like, subscribe, and if you take a chance with the BasketballBrain program, I promise you your game's going to reach levels that you never thought possible.
What's up, BasketballBrain fans and members? I remember watching this game live, and the best thing about this game is Kobe Bryant's defense on Russell Westbrook. Totally locking him down, chasing him all over the floor, not allowing him to get going. We always talk about, if you haven't done the full program, you need to, but we talk about an offense playing at a 7.5, a smooth level. And on defense, your tempo increases to an 8.5 or a 9. And your vision, well, I'll just tell you this, your vision on defense, when you're guarding your player, you lock on to the center of their chest. And some coaches do teach to watch the ball. I've always thought that locking on to the center of the chest was the best thing. Defense is visual. So you can see Kobe here just locked onto the target. The same principle as when you shoot, you lock onto the hoop. When you're on defense, you lock onto the guy you're guarding. And the same principle on offense, where you're dribbling, looking to pass, you're using your peripheral vision. When you're in help mode on defense, you're also using peripheral vision. So there's this parallel between offense and defense, and that's why in the full program, we teach you how to train your eyes. I have other programs coming out that deal with gamers. I've been working with some gamers here in New York, and in a lot of shooter games, it's the same principle, the ability to have peripheral vision, seeing the whole screen, and then locking on to a target. So again, on offense, you're locking on to shoot, and then you're using peripheral vision to pass. And on defense, you're locking onto the defender and using your peripheral vision to see the whole floor. Now, you often hear that defense is all about attitude. I agree, it has a lot to do with attitude. And the best way to get your attitude right on defense is when you cross half court to play defense, there's this little switch in your mind where you increase your tempo to an 8.5 or a 9.0. You're going a little harder, you're going a little faster. The analogy I always use is to think about being chased by a bear. If you're being chased by a bear, you need to use a lot more energy. You're gonna max out your big muscles. You don't need your fingers. You don't need any dexterity. You just need to move. Same thing on defense. You don't need as much dexterity. You can move a little faster. On offense, the reason we slow down a little bit is because as you slow down, as you calm down, you have more dexterity. I see so many skills coaches. I talk about this in a lot of videos. They are on, they're showing you how to do a dribbling drill or dribble between cones, and they're almost short-circuiting. They're breathing hard. They're going at a level 10 on offense. Have you ever seen a player go at a level 10? I think Russell Westbrook plays harder than anyone I've ever seen on offense, just as far as tempo goes, especially when he was younger. And he's not at a level 10. He's at like an 8.5, which I think is too hard, and I think gets him in trouble sometimes, though it makes it very impressive when he gets a lane and can throw down a dunk, or if he gets hot. I think he plays a little bit too fast. He's slowed that down in recent years, and his stats show that he's played a little more smooth on offense. But you see a lot of skills coaches, and they're going not game speed. Game speed is playing at a 7.5 or 8. You're going hard. You're going quick. But these guys are going at a 10 or an 11, and one, it's ugly. I hate seeing ugly basketball. Two, it's mechanical. And they remind me of pumps or hydraulic pumps that are just getting too much pressure and they're about to blow a gasket. And three, it's not fluid at all. There's no rhythm in that. They play like a really boring point guard. You know those point guards who are so fundamental? Chest passes, bounce passes. I guess it's effective, and some guys have made a career out of playing like that. It's an option. But even the guys who play very mechanical aren't doing it at a level 10. I mean, think of someone really mechanical like a John Stockton. Very mechanical, but not at a level 10, still very smooth. you have to be careful, especially young players, till you get the hang of it, that you're not, great shot by Westbrook there, that you don't go below a 7.5. It's the perfect poise. It's the perfect amount of energy. If you've ever been in the zone, that's the level you're at. You're not going at a level 10. You're not dribbling the ball as hard as you can. You're not making every move as fast as you can. You're quick, but you're in control of your movements. Then on defense, when you cross over, again, you can be a little bit more intense. So there's an attitude to defense. You have to have the attitude that, F this guy, he's not scoring. There's an awareness, a vigilance to know where the ball is, know where your guy's at. It's amazing when I watch Steph Curry, watching NBA guys have these brain freezes almost every time down the floor and lose track of them. I mean, it's crazy, the attention span of most basketball players, even professionals. The great thing about watching Kobe in this is he never forgets to guard Westbrook. I know it sounds crazy, but I have seen so many guys who just forget they're playing defense. It does happen. But defense isn't just attitudinal. It has a lot to do with concentration. It has a lot to do, look, Kobe's so in his head, Westbrook's missing dunks. There's that, sometimes a level 11 dunk, you can miss that. But it has a lot to do with vision. Crazy shot by Kobe. It has a lot to do with vision, seeing the whole floor, locking on, training your mind to do that. Blocking out the people in the stands, blocking out everything extraneous, but still having a part of your mind that's aware to your teammate's voice. So there's something really interesting. I'm studying neuroscience now in graduate school, and we're talking about consciousness. And one of the cool things I heard a lecturer say is there's something interesting about the mind, that certain sounds have more emotional value to you than others. Here's an example. If I come into the room and I go, hey, and you're sleeping, and I'm like, hey, wake up. I have to do it very loud, right? If I just step into your door, peek my head in and go, hey, wake up, you're not going to wake up. But if your mother does that, if your mother goes into the room and she just whispers to you, hey, time to get up, you wake up. There's a part of your brain that stays activated even when you're engaged in another task, in this scenario, sleeping. But when you're playing defense, there's a part of your brain that knows your teammates' voices. So while you're totally focused and engrossed, you can still hear your teammates talking and communicating. And you can do two things at once. You can be locked on the target, and you can be talking and communicating. Now, the truth is, when you switch modalities, when you go from seeing to hearing, there's a split second where there's a blind spot, because the mind can only focus on one thing at a time. But you can trust your autopilot, and you can trust that your mind will. There's a great example of being at a level 8.5 or 9. You don't hardly ever move that fast on offense. Okay, maybe on a quick crossover or the first explosion, you might peak at an 8.5, but then you're back to smooth. Anyways, you start to trust your mind to switch modalities very quickly. There's probably 90% of the time on defense, it's you're not multitasking. You're focused on the single task of using your vision. There's another 10% where you are multitasking, and you're switching between seeing pinpoint, seeing peripheral, hearing the communications of your teammates, and talking. So there's a lot going on defense that you may not think about. It's not just attitude. Now, you need to know the X's and O's, you need to know angles, and all of this you can start to perfect in practice. If you go out, the truth is, so few players actually play defense. Kobe's into this game, man. Kobe's into this game. I love this. But what was the last time you saw a superstar doing this? I haven't seen Harden do this. Have you? Maybe I haven't watched all his games, but still, you don't really see superstars nowadays that play like they're the sixth man or a bench player trying to get playing time. Nice elbow to that dude's face. That guy probably tells that story constantly. I'd have it as a GIF and send it out to all my friends for sure. But you typically don't see superstars doing things like this, playing this hard. Westbrook's this is young Westbrook, admittedly, but Kobe's sending a message that, hey man, you can be super athletic. I'm going to stay right with you. I'm going to make your game miserable. And I think what would have helped Westbrook here is playing a little bit more smoothly when he got the ball. See, he's getting frustrated there. He's pushing a little bit, but Kobe likes that type of thing. He likes the physicality. It's another thing. Start to train your mind to like getting bumped, getting hit. When you play with your friends, when you're playing on the weekends, don't call any weak fouls. When I used to play with my friends when we were growing up, behind the basket we used to play at was this thorn bush. Literally a thorn bush. I don't know who designed this place, some wicked person. But it was 2 feet behind the hoop, one of those bushes with the sharp pointy leaves. Anyways, at game point, and even before that, you were going into that bush. And we'd be cut, we'd be scraped, and you had to score. You couldn't win on free throws. You had to score playing to win. And anybody we invited who complained about that, they had to figure it out real quick that that's the way that we played, or they had to leave and weren't invited back. You had to have a certain toughness. When you're playing with your friends, it's the time to get physical. It's not the time to get dirty. It's not the time to hurt anybody. And I always tell people, even when I play now, I say, I don't mind you being physical. I don't mind the fouls. Just don't go under my ankle. Don't go under my foot so I roll my ankle. That's the only thing I care about. If you don't do that, and you don't undercut me, those are basically the only 2 things. You can grab me, you can pull me down, you can hit my arm, you can tap me, whatever. I want to get used to getting hit on offense, and you better believe on defense, while I'm not going to try to foul you, it's going to be a more physical form of defense. The thing you have to remember is if you can play physical on defense, if you're used to physicality, you can adjust to not playing physical. But guys who never play physical, it's hard for them to adjust to playing physical. So the reason you want to go physical in practice is because if nobody's touching you and you're going to the lane or shooting a J, it's easy. But if you're not used to that, it's very hard. You're not used to getting bumped in a game if you don't get bumped in practice. Do you understand what I'm saying? So as much as is possible, play physical. A lot of coaches use those pads and slap the heck out of you when you go to the hole. I love that. They shouldn't use pads though. They should actually hit you with their hands. You're going to get hit with your hands in the game. You want to make the practice as real as possible. Again, not to hurt anybody, but try to mimic game situations. I'll probably never coach a basketball team. I do a little consulting. I help a little bit. It's not really my thing. Basketball, believe it or not now, like Basketball Brain's my hobby. It's my side passion. I just do it. Most of my work deals with helping. It's the same type of material, but it's to help everyday people. But if I ever did coach a team, I would have my players practice in their uniforms. I would make them prepare for the game like they're actually prepare for practice like they're going to play. Westbrook, competitive fire. He's mad. I love it. I love Westbrook's attitude. Don't get me wrong. But I would have them wear their uniforms when they're practicing and have the home and away. I'd make them wash the uniforms every night. Practice is just as important as the game. Dress the part. So, and I think that does something psychologically. I would pipe in crowd noises into my practice. I would make it as much like a game as possible. As much like a game as possible. Even the drills we're doing, game-like. I'd make pressure situations, and that's what I would do. Now, I'm not saying, again, I would ever coach. Not really my forte. But in your practice, any way you can, try to make it game-like. On my personal channel, I'll put the link below. I was talking about killers and how every game every practice session, they try to use their imagination to make it as real as possible. They're never playing alone, ever. They're always, even when they're shooting in a driveway by themselves, there's things going on in their mind that you can't see. And that's why they're so good. They make the game real even when they're practicing alone. Let's see what Kobe does here. It's usually Kobe time. Money. 2 minutes left in OT. That's Kobe practice. He's practiced every shot, and when he's practicing, he's pretending he has great defenders on him. He's pretending Battier's on him. He's pretending Tony Allen's on him. So even when he's out shooting around, he's moving as if he's being guarded. You can see Westbrook there really trying, and some might say over trying. He's having a tough game. This game, I bet you if you could talk to Westbrook, he'd tell you this game made him better because he saw what a great defender can do. He knew he had to improve his skills, had to improve his game. Kobe hounded him the whole game, level 8.5 or 9 the entire game. You want to be a little bit more intense on the ball, a little less intense off the ball. So maybe a 9 on ball and 8.5 off ball. You see Kobe do this the whole game. They were playing a weird sort of man-to-man. It was like a box and one, but still playing man because Kobe was picking up Westbrook the whole court. Kobe watched enough film of the Thunder. He knew that to beat this team, which was very good, Westbrook was the spark plug. If you could take that spark plug out, the engine might not get going. And you can still see it's a close game in OT. But Kobe knew what he had to do, was willing to play full court defense to win the game, to help his team. I remember his last year in the league, the year he really in the league, where he blew out his Achilles when he was still Kobe. For a while there, he's 34 years old. He was just playing full court defense every game when they were struggling to make the playoffs. Every game. Look at this. 4 points up, he's still chasing Westbrook. Westbrook's frustrated. If you can play with as much, the last thing I'll say is Kobe Bryant has ungodly athletic ability, great genetics, fantastic genetics, and he works like he has nothing. Like he has nothing. Think about Kobe Bryant's athletic ability, his height, and he's outworking you. You got to think about things like that. If the guy with all that talent's outworking you, you got a problem. You need to work just as hard as him. Make sure you focus on defense. We talk a lot about offense, but really focus on defense, okay? Talk to you soon. Please like, subscribe.